So today I'm joined by Paul Goldsmith. Paul is the owner of Goldstar IT Consultancy, and he's also the co-founder of Pebble. So Paul's been in business for about 7 years, or had his own business for about 7 years, but he's been in the IT industry for over 20 years. So welcome, Paul.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, Paul. So, Paul, tell us a little bit more about Goldstar and Pebble.
So, to be honest, the quickest and easiest way to kind of explain the differences between the two businesses is Goldstar Consultancy is all about business systems. So facilitating businesses, SMEs, the ability to utilize technology to manage what they are doing on a day-to-day basis. So whether that's marketing, sales, operationally, so that's kind of selling or kind of fulfilling service industry tasks, project management, those kind of things, or you've got stock management and selling products themselves online, from a workshop, whatever it might be, manufacturing, so tracking that side of things. And then you've got the finance side of things as well, which is quite extensive. And we have an internal financial consultant that helps businesses move to Zoho Books, which is the main product we use. Then you've got reporting that kind of essentially underlines everything. So with any business, you need to understand the data and understand what's happening within your business with your KPIs. And they are essentially what give you the ability to make key decisions to achieve your goals. We are a business that specializes in Zoho as a product. However, we are very clear and honest in terms of what products we feel are essentially business ready, and which products are probably left good to leave for now until products have been matured more. We can also do integrations as well, and that's where it kind of moves on to Pebble. So Pebble is a website and web application business. So everyone knows what a website is, but ultimately the websites that we build are either 4 pages or more, and we have a special product that actually you can utilize actually for BNI or other customers like that, to get a starter website set up and then allow them to grow with scale. The other side of it is applications, so web applications. So for want of better words, that's the fun and kind of nice looking front end for end customers to see. So being able to actually visualize something rather than quite often internal business systems look quite ugly. We give the ability to actually create things like portals or membership areas or reseller areas, or essentially anything the customer can log into and work with that, and then integrate it with the back-end systems, business systems of finance, marketing, sales, whatever that might be.
Okay, thank you for that, Paul. So all of that then interlinks together, sort of the website, the apps, and then the systems and processes that are behind that. So okay,
yeah.
Cool. So I'm always interested to hear, Paul, about why people started their own business. So why did you start your own business?
Kind of a weird one, really. So essentially, I was working in corporate life, and I was at the end of my current role, and I've been headhunted by a company which is very well known, and I had an amazing job offer, but I was commuting to London every day. And this was just before we had the big London Bridge refurbishment. So the commuting would have been a bit of a nightmare. And they also wanted me to be on call at weekends, but I had quite a young family. So I kind of, something triggered in my head essentially, where I hadn't seen my first little one, who's now 9. I've missed out on his like first walks and that kind of stuff. And I didn't want that to happen for my second child. So although I had an amazing financial offer, I actually felt that life balance needed to be tweaked slightly. So that's why Goldstar started. Not to say that actually when you start a business, life balance is good. So that didn't work as well as I expected initially. And that's kind of what I would say to any people starting out business is it sounds amazing, sounds great, but realistically, taking a 75% pay cut and working probably 25% more hours is not fun initially, but you do get there.
Yeah, and I think certainly myself, I can completely understand that and similar journey myself, and I have to hold my hands up a little bit on that, Paul, because I was partly involved in the refurbishment of London Bridge Station because I back in my days I financed the Shard, the building of the Shard. So yeah, unfortunately that was partly down to me, but a bad thing whilst it was happening, but a great thing now it has happened.
Yeah.
So Paul, so you started out there. You said you started it because of lifestyle and of things that actually you wanted to spend more time with your family, and you touched on there for a bit that. Okay, initially that perhaps didn't happen, but has it turned out to be everything you expected it to be?
That's an interesting question. With everything you do, there is always things you don't like doing. And even working for yourself, there are those elements that you don't like doing. So I would say a good 90% of it is absolutely where I want it to be. 10% is always the improvement and constant growth. So as a business owner, I absolutely can take time off and be flexible. And that's exactly what I've always wanted to be. And I don't have to commute 2 hours, 2.5 hours to my workplace. So that's where it is. Money-wise, obviously, it's not as good as I was when I was employed. But I'm happy with that because the sacrifice I make on money is actually the benefits I get in terms of flexibility.
So it's getting that balance right between what it is that's important for you, and I find that with most business owners that I speak to, we often talk about success, but it's actually what our own definition of success is. Some people want to be multi-millionaires and their definition of success is to achieve that. Others is just to perhaps earn enough money so that they can live a nice and comfortable lifestyle, but they spend more time with their family. So it's whatever our definition of success is, and that our business should give us that. I always think that our business is there to give us the life that we want and deserve.
Agreed. Otherwise, you'd be employed.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. And I often find that actually starting out in business, you end up with the worst boss of all, which is yourself. That's the challenge. You've then got to manage yourself as your boss. But so let's talk a little bit more about your business, Paul. So what makes your business different to other IT businesses out there?
I think the most important thing for us is honesty. We are at times brutally honest with our clients. We are probably one of the only Zoho partners that don't buy the licenses for our clients. That is not a good business decision. However, that's an honest decision because essentially it means that no client is tied to us. So it keeps us consistent and honest in terms of if there is a problem, we're open with it. If we've made a mistake, we're open. However, we have a wealth of knowledge that is not just Zoho, but around business as well, and also finance. So it gives us that really good ability to go, okay, you've got this business problem. Is it going to be solved by finance, business, or technology? And that gives us the ability to kind of look at the issue or look at the solution as a holistic perspective. And that's where quite often we're more consulting rather than the technology, because the technology is the actual solution, is what you're getting. Quite often we'll kind of look at the process and why you're trying to achieve something, and actually try to understand the business as a fundamental thing before we actually choose any technology.
Yeah, and I noticed that from your website, Paul, in that that really comes across, because one of the things that you value is getting to know your clients and what they want to achieve, not just now, but in the future as well. How important do you see that, understanding that, to then providing the solution for them?
Massive, to be honest. If a client came to us and said, we just want you to come in and put Zoho in, they're probably not a client for us. And we actually tell them that as well. Because we want to help them on a journey, and we want clients that we're speaking to look for that growth and to actually want to utilize technology as that ability to grow and be open to change. Because in technology, you have to be open to that change prospect. So it is massive in terms of you can spend anything between £1,000 and £100,000 on a system and more if you start utilizing other products. But what's the return on investment? What are you actually trying to do long term is the more important question, rather than just being, here's a problem, here's a solution, let's just turn it around and get you a CRM and then you're happy for the next couple of years. Because if it's not going to grow with you as a business, what's the point of even doing it at the beginning? And that's comes from my experience of being operations and IT manager in my career, is that I have been sold so many times that is the dream of, hey, you've got this product, let's solve it today. 6 months down the line, you ask the question and go, well, we're ready for the next stage. Oh, I'm really sorry, that salesperson's not there anymore. And also, we can't do that. That's not what we do.
Okay, now that makes absolute sense, and I think you're right. One of the phrases that I like, it came from a book called Seven Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey, and one of the things he says in there is start with the end in mind. So start with actually what it is that you want to achieve, where you want to be in the future, what do you want your business to look like in the future. Once you know that, or that you know where you are now, well, then it's just working out how do we get from A to B. You've got to know where you want to go, where you want to end up, and that's really important to actually work that out and know. Okay, and so I mean, I think, as most people know, that the pace of technological change in business is absolutely rapid, and COVID has only increased that pace. I've heard a number of statistics banded around, but things like, over the time, that we were in lockdown, that we leapt forwards, 5 or 6 years in technology. And the way we're communicating now over Zoom is one of those. We probably all would have adapted to some sort of Zoom or Microsoft Teams or something in the future, but we just did it a lot quicker. And the majority of business executives rank IT as one of their top concerns. So how important do you see IT to businesses and in business these days?
It should be the number one thing after people.
Yeah.
It is literally the way technology. So a conversation I always have with clients and anybody about technology is, technology on computers were designed to make things quicker and easier. If you always look at that perspective and you look at technology that way, that is the best way to kind of understand it. So we're on Zoom today because it's quicker and easier rather than traveling to meet each other. Yeah. Because then we can have another call later tomorrow. That's the whole point. That's why Zoom is so good. And Zoom is so good because it's reliable. It's there when you need it. Yeah. They don't have to add all the fancy stuff. They have added things later on, but they don't have to. It's the same thing with every single piece of technology. So nowadays technology is almost the number one thing is on the list when you start a business, and it should be consistent, ongoing process. You're never going to stand still. The same thing with a business. So anytime you're looking to invest, you should always look in and go, okay, can I add another person, or can I add more technology is going to save me time and money to achieve my next goal? Or is it going to help me achieve my next thing what I want to achieve? And that's, in my eyes, why Goldstar exists and why Gold Pebble now exists, and why so much more opportunity is out there for technology businesses. And AI is the big thing at the minute. But I've been watching that come through for a long time. ChatGPT is because it's mainstream, is actually making people talk about it. But we've been seeing it come through business systems for a while. And what that's going to do, that's going to be, honestly, I truly believe the next industrial revolution of what is going to happen in tech. It's going to be potentially bigger than the Google search.
Yeah, it's certainly something that's in the media a lot these days, and I think you're absolutely right. We've got to keep an eye on that and keep up to date on how we can use that in our businesses. So what have you seen as one of the biggest challenges in your business, Paul?
People. Okay. is probably the biggest challenge is keeping people happy and ultimately happy working within the product that we have. So we had, I'm quite open about this, is that we had good section of our team moved on last year, mainly because it was part of it's down to pay, but also part of it because the product that they're working with is not what they wanted. They wanted the ability to develop and be proper coders, as they call it. So that is always a challenge, to keep people interested in the work they do, especially. And from our perspective, it's great, and from their perspective, they got headhunted. I'm absolutely delighted for them. I really am, and I'm really pleased that they're happy. And I've contacted one of them recently in terms of how he's getting on, and he's absolutely loving what he's doing. And I'm really pleased that we were able to move him to that next level to say he can move on. But from our perspective, we've had to look internally on what does that mean as a business? What do we need to do? So knowledge sharing, training, all those things have to be sped up a little bit further, because essentially they may only stay with us for a couple of years now. Yeah. So putting a process in place for that is kind of what we're working on right now.
Yeah. Okay. As you say, yeah, people are such an important part of a business. We've talked a lot about IT and systems and processes, but and those right people as well to ensure that they're the right people for our business and they're along the journey with us. So yeah, it sounds interesting what you've done there in terms of said, okay, well, look, what do we need to put in place to make sure we recruit the right people? So let's look at our recruitment processes, and then how do we maintain those people from a point of view of, and things you said there, from keeping them motivated, keeping them learning, keeping them interested. Yes, we've always got to pay a reasonable salary, but it's those other things that make a big difference to employees and whether they stay or go. Okay. And what would you say to anyone thinking of going into business, Paul?
Most important thing, make sure your home life right.
Yeah.
Because if you're in business, there is no disconnect. So the most important thing I would say to anybody is, if you're in any kind of relationship, you've got to actually have that conversation. It's not like moving a job. It's not a 9 to 5. It is all different times. And yes, you've got lots of advantages, but there are also things that will impact your life, and you need to make sure that you, as a family unit or partner, whatever that is, understands and you are both happy to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you will end up having stress inside work and outside of work. You've got to get both sides right.
Yeah, I think that's some great advice, Paul, to get that balance right. And it's really interesting because that, in fact, is one of the first places that I start with my clients is what I call alignment, making sure that actually all the sort of owners of the business are aligned, but actually I often do that with their partners as well to make sure their partners are aligned and everybody's in agreement where this is going. So I think that's a great piece of advice, Paul. So Paul, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today and sharing more about your business and your journey. So thanks very much for that.
Pleasure. Thank you.